Have you ever noticed this subtle, almost invisible wall that appears the very moment you say those seemingly most important words? I love you? You say them with all sincerity, pouring all the tenderness, all the warmth of your soul into them, and in return, you get a polite smile, a nod, sometimes a quiet, I love you, too. But something isn't right. The air doesn't fill with magic. The space between you doesn't shrink, but sometimes, paradoxically, it even grows. As if your confession is not a bridge, but a heavy stone thrown into the still waters of his inner world, causing only brief ripples and long, silent circles. You are left with a nagging sense of bewilderment. Why do these 3 words, celebrated in thousands of songs and novels, a symbol of absolute intimacy, not produce the effect you expect? Why don't they make his eyes shine, inspire him to heroic deeds, or become the fuel that you feel should power your relationship? You start to doubt. Maybe I said it at the wrong time? Maybe not emotionally enough? Maybe he just doesn't love me? The truth that Carl Jung, an explorer of the depths of the human soul, would reveal to you is far more complex and yet simpler. It's not about how you say it, and it's not about when. It's about what a man actually hears when you say I love you. For the female psyche, for that part of our soul that Jung called the anima, these words are the ultimate expression of merging, of union, of emotional closeness. It is an invitation into a shared, cozy, and safe world where two become one. But for the male psyche, for his inner world, which lives by the laws of the animus, the principle of action, purpose, path, and meaning, these words can sound entirely different. They can be unconsciously perceived not as a gift, but as a demand, not as a confession, but as a contract, not as freedom, but as a responsibility. And it's not his fault, and not yours. This is an ancient archetypal language of souls that we have forgotten how to speak, but which still governs our reactions. I love you in his unconscious can be translated as, now you must take care of me. Now you are responsible for my happiness. Now you must meet my expectations. Now your path must be tied to my comfort. This is not what you mean, but it is what his soul, constantly in search of its path, its mission, its battle, might hear. And this burden, this unspoken responsibility, can make him freeze, shut down, take a step back to preserve his inner space, his wholeness. But what if there is another phrase? A phrase that does not burden, but liberates. That does not bind, but inspires. A phrase that speaks his native archetypal language. A phrase that does not ask him to become part of your world, but recognizes the greatness of his own. This phrase, as Jung would argue, can do far more for his soul, for his masculine spirit, than 1,000 of the most tender declarations of love. It is the key that unlocks not his heart in the romantic sense, but his essence, his strength, his drive to become the best version of himself. It is this phrase we will explore today. We will delve into the labyrinths of male perception to understand why it holds such colossal power. This is not manipulation. This is a deep understanding that will change not only how he looks at you, but also how you look at yourself and at the nature of true partnership. Are you ready to set aside the familiar for a time and discover something that can turn your idea of intimacy upside down? Then let's begin this journey inward. Before we get to that one cherished phrase, we must take a bold and necessary step to look impartially at the words I love you. We must strip them of their romantic cliches and see their psychological underpinnings. Jung taught that whatever is not made conscious controls us from the shadows. And in the shadow of this beautiful phrase lie complex motives, often unconscious to ourselves. When a woman says I love you, she is, of course, expressing a genuine feeling. But what lies behind this feeling? Very often, as a Jungian analysis would show, what lies behind it is projection. Projection is the unconscious transfer of one's own feelings, qualities, and needs onto another person. You see in the man not just him, but the carrier of qualities you might lack. He is your strength, your protection, your stability. And by saying I love you, you might actually be saying, I love how I feel when I'm with you. I love the part of Vadav, myself that you awaken in me. I need you to feel whole. There is nothing shameful in this. It is a natural mechanism of the psyche. But for a man, it creates invisible pressure. He intuitively feels that he is not loved for all that he is, with all his doubts, weaknesses, and fears, but for his idealized image, his persona, the social mask of a hero, a protector, a provider, and he begins to fear disappointing you, to fear one day showing his true, vulnerable self and losing this love, which, it seems to him, is based on his strength. Thus your love, instead of freeing him, traps him in the cage of an idealized image. Moreover, Jung would draw our attention to the archetype of the Great Mother. This archetype lives in every woman, and in its positive aspect, it provides care, warmth, and nourishment. But it also has a shadow side, the devouring mother. This is the force that seeks to hold on, to control, to dissolve, to strip of individuality in the name of safety and fusion. When the phrase I love you is spoken from a state of need, from a fear of loneliness, it carries the energy of this very devouring mother. A man whose main task on the path of individuation is separation from the maternal complex and the discovery of his own path, instinctively feels this threat, the threat of dissolution, of losing his mission, his masculine core. His soul cries out, do not devour me. Let me go my own way. And he pulls away, closes himself off, builds a wall to protect his fragile, not yet fully formed identity. Think honestly. How often has your I love you been a silent question of do you love me? How often has it been an attempt to get validation of your own worth? How often has it been a remedy for your own anxiety? When we use love as an emotional currency, expecting something in return, we turn a sacred act of giving into a market transaction. And the other soul always feels it. The man senses this invisible contract he is being offered. I give you my love and care, and in return, you must give me stability, security, and a guarantee that you will never leave. This turns a living, breathing relationship into a system of checks and balances, where spontaneity and freedom are the first to die. Jung said that true love is only possible between two whole, individuated personalities. When I love you comes from a place of emptiness, from an attempt to fill an inner void with another person. It is not love in its highest sense. It is dependency. It is an attempt to solve your problems at someone else's expense. And this is what repels, not attracts. Because no soul wants to be just a function, just a crutch for another. Every soul longs to be seen and acknowledged in its own uniqueness. Therefore, when a man hears I love you, he may not hear the music of your soul, but the noise of your unconscious needs. He may not see your open heart, but your outstretched hand asking for help, and his reaction is not coldness. It is instinctive self-preservation. He is not protecting himself from you. He is protecting his path from a potential obstacle, realizing this is not a reason for despair. On the contrary, it is a point of liberation. When you understand what is hidden in the shadow of your own words, you gain the power to change everything. You can learn to speak a different language, a language that does not bind, but gives wings, a language that is understandable and close to his soul. And for that, we must understand what this soul is made of. What is its main fuel? What is its primary quest? To understand the power of that one phrase, we must immerse ourselves in the world of masculine archetypes. Carl Jung argued that in the collective unconscious of humanity, there are innate patterns of behavior and images. For the male psyche, the central defining everything is the archetype of the hero. A man's entire life, whether he realizes it or not, is the hero's journey. What does this mean? It means that his deep inner task is not the search for comfort and safety. His task is to leave the comfort zone. It is to face the dragon, his fears, external difficulties, inner demons. It is to battle, and it is to return home with the treasure, wisdom, strength, a new level of awareness. This path can manifest in anything: in building a career, in creativity, in a spiritual quest, in creating something new, in overcoming oneself in sports. The form is not important. What is important is the essence: constant forward movement, overcoming, growth. His greatest fear is not the fear of being unloved. His greatest fear is the fear of living a meaningless life, the fear of not realizing his potential, the fear of never embarking on his journey, remaining in the safe kingdom of the mother, the fear of dying without ever having fought his dragon. This is the existential terror of stagnation, of the swamp, of meaninglessness. Now imagine that on this path, he meets a woman. She is the embodiment of the anima, his own soul, his connection to the world of feelings. And she can play one of two roles. The first role is that of the siren or calypso from the myth of Odysseus. She is beautiful. She offers love and pleasure. She creates a paradise island where there are no problems or worries. She says, "Stay with me, forget your travels. Here you will be well and calm." And for the hero, this is the most terrible temptation. To stay with her means to betray his path, to abandon his mission, to die as a hero. The phrase "I love you," spoken from a state of need, as we discussed earlier, sounds to his soul exactly like the song of this siren. "Stay, be with me, take care of me, do not go into your dangerous seas." But there is a second role, the role of Athena, the goddess of wisdom, who does not hold the hero back, but equips him for the journey. She does not promise him an easy life. She believes in his strength. She gives him a sword and shield, her wisdom and support. She does not wait for him on the shore, weeping. She blesses him for battle. She is the one who sees in him not just a man, but a hero on his path. She is not a harbor in which he hides, but a lighthouse that shines for him in the storm. So, a man is not looking for a siren in a woman. Deep down, at the level of the soul, he is looking for his Athena. He is not looking for someone to solve his problems. He is looking for someone who will believe in his ability to solve them himself. He is not looking for someone to fill his emptiness. He is looking for someone to inspire him to turn that emptiness into a source of strength. He doesn't need you to fight his dragons. He needs you to believe that he has the strength to do it himself. Jung would say that a man's main task in a relationship is not to dissolve into the woman, but on the contrary, to better understand and affirm his own masculine identity through the relationship with her. For him, your relationship is not the final destination, but an important part of his path. He wants to see in your eyes not a reflection of your neediness, but a reflection of his potential. He wants to feel that you are his ally in his main life battle, not the one for whom he must abandon that battle. When you understand this, you stop trying to fix him, to improve him, to direct him. You stop giving him unsolicited advice. You stop worrying about his silence, understanding that at that moment, he might be in his cave, gathering his strength for the next battle. You begin to respect his inner territory, his right to have doubts, his need for solitude. Your presence becomes not demanding, but supportive. And it is from this understanding that the phrase is born. The phrase that is the quintessence of the role of Athena. The phrase that speaks the language of the hero archetype. The phrase that has nothing to do with holding on, but is entirely composed of a pure, powerful act of liberation and faith. have come a long way. We have dismantled the shadow aspects of the conventional I love you. We have looked into the very essence of the masculine archetype. And now we are ready. Ready to hear, and more importantly, to realize the phrase that resonates with the very core of the masculine spirit. This phrase sounds simple. It has no pathos of poetry. But in its simplicity lies a colossal power. This phrase is, I believe in your path. Let's pause. Say it to yourself. Feel its weight, its energy. I believe in your path. These are not just words. This is a worldview. This is a stance. This is the most valuable gift a woman can give a man. Let's break it down into its atoms to understand why. It works so unfailingly. I, in this phrase, I is not a pleading, needy, dependent one. It is the I of a whole, separate personality. It is the voice of a woman who has her own world, her own foundation. She speaks not as a half looking for its other part. She speaks as an entire universe that sees and acknowledges another universe. This I sounds with dignity and strength. It does not say, I need you to survive. It says, I exist, I am whole, and from this wholeness, I make a choice to see and acknowledge you. Believe. This is the most powerful word in the entire phrase. Notice, not I know, not I hope, not I approve, but specifically believe. Belief is an irrational, profound category. Belief is higher than knowledge. Knowledge operates with facts from the past. Belief is directed towards the future. When you say I believe, you transmit to him an energy of absolute trust that does not depend on his current successes or failures. He may doubt himself. The whole world may doubt him. He may feel like giving up. But your belief becomes for him that invisible shield, that point of support that allows him to get up and keep going. I believe is not a passive expectation. It is an active act of empowerment. You are as if telling him, even if you don't believe in yourself, I will be the one who believes in you. I see your potential, even if it is hidden under the ashes of doubt. I see your future greatness. This lifts the burden of needing to be perfect right here and now. Your belief gives him the right to make mistakes, the right to be weak, because it is directed not at his results, but at his essence, in your. These two short words are an act of the deepest respect for his individuality, not in our path, not in the path that I have designed for you, but specifically in your. You acknowledge that his path belongs only to him, that he has his own mission, his own tasks, his own lessons that he must learn himself. You are not trying to take the helm of his ship. You are not trying to impose your map on him. You are saying, this is your journey, and I respect your choice, whatever it may be. This frees him from the fear of being consumed. You give him the most valuable thing, the freedom to be himself. You show that your relationship is not a cage that restricts his movement, but a runway from which he can soar towards his stars. By acknowledging his path as his, you automatically cease to be a function or an obstacle for him and become his most important ally. Path. This word speaks directly to his hero archetype. The path is not just a job or a hobby. The path is the entire sum of his life's aspirations, his battle for meaning, his ascent of his personal mountain. By using the word path, you show that you see not just a man solving everyday problems. You see a hero walking his own road. You elevate him in his own eyes. You give his daily efforts, his struggles, and his fatigue a higher, sacred meaning. He can come home exhausted, broken, having lost another battle at work. He expects reproaches or pity. But instead, he hears from you, I still believe in your path, and that changes everything. It's like a healing balm for his soul. It reminds him of who he really is, beyond temporary setbacks. Now compare the energy of the two phrases. I love you can be about what you feel. It's about you. I believe in your path is entirely and completely about him, about his essence, his potential, his future. I love you can be perceived as a request for intimacy. And fusion. I believe in your path is a gift of freedom and strength. Love you speaks of the present moment. I believe in your path encompasses all his past, present, and future, giving his life wholeness and direction. This phrase works because it asks for nothing. It only gives. It gives faith, freedom, recognition, and strength. And that is why, upon receiving such a gift, a man will intuitively want to give you back the very best of himself. He will want to become the person you believe in. Your belief becomes his most powerful stimulus for growth. He will want to protect, cherish, and value the woman who sees in him not a problem to be solved, but a hero in whose path she unreservedly believes. Knowing this phrase is only half the battle. Jung always emphasized that awareness without action is fruitless. It's not just about saying the words. It's about learning to live from the state of being that stands behind them. This phrase is not a magic pill or a manipulative trick. If you say it, but in your heart you continue to control, doubt, and demand, he will feel the falsehood, and the effect will be the opposite. Sincerity is the main key. You must truly begin to believe in his path. And for that, you first need to start believing in your own. A woman who doesn't know where she is going herself, who doesn't feel her own value and foundation, cannot sincerely believe in another's path. She will cling to him like a life raft. So the first step is to achieve your own wholeness. Ask yourself, and what is my path? What do I believe in? What inspires me? When you stand on your own 2 feet, your belief in another becomes a pure, selfless gift, not a disguised plea for help. So when should you say this phrase? You don't need to repeat it every day, devaluing it with frequency. It, like a rare and powerful medicine, is used at key moments. 1. In his moments of doubt. When he comes to you and shares his fears, his uncertainty about a project, a business, his own abilities. At this moment, he is most vulnerable. The usual reaction is to start giving advice. Why don't you try this? Or to reassure, everything will be fine. But this only emphasizes his weakness. Instead, listen to him, look him in the eyes, and calmly, with firmness, say, "This is a difficult phase, I understand, but I believe in your path. You will get through this." At that moment, you are not solving his problem. You are restoring his faith in himself. 2. In his moments of success. When he has achieved something, closed a deal, the usual reaction is, "I'm so happy for us. Now we can buy ... This shifts the focus to you or to material benefits. Instead say, "I saw how you worked for this. I always knew you would make it. I am so proud to be a witness to your path." You are acknowledging not just the result, but all his hard work, all his struggle. You are confirming that his success is a natural part of his great journey. 3. When he shares a dream, he might tell you about a seemingly crazy idea to quit his job and start writing a book, to move to another country, to build something with his own hands. Your first reaction might be fear of losing stability. But if you give in to this fear and start to discourage him, you will kill his dream and possibly his spirit. If you feel that this dream comes from his very soul, find the strength to say, "That's bold. It's scary. But it sounds like your true path, and I believe in it." With this, you will give him the most important thing, a blessing. 4. In silence, without words. Believing in his path is not just about words. It's your state of being. It's how you look at him when he is engrossed in his work. It's your calmness when he retreats into his cave for reflection. It's your lack of anxiety and control over his phone. He feels your belief non-verbally. It creates a field of tranquility and acceptance around you, in which he can relax and be himself. The shift from the I love you model as the central phrase to the I believe in your path model transforms the entire dynamic of the relationship. From a codependent fusion of two halves, it turns into a union of two whole individuals. It is a partnership of two captains sailing the sea of life in their own ships, but in the same direction, checking their course and supporting each other. With the light of their lighthouses, you stop being responsible for his mood and his successes. And this frees up a colossal amount of your own energy, which you can direct towards your own path. You stop waiting for him to make you happy, because your happiness becomes your own responsibility. The relationship ceases to be a battlefield for resources and attention and becomes a space for mutual growth. And here is the greatest paradox. When you let him go, giving him freedom and faith in his path, he strives with even greater force to be near you. Because you become for him not just a beloved woman. You become his muse, his source of strength, his quiet harbor that does not hold but heals. You become the one and only in whose presence he can be both a vulnerable boy and a mighty hero. And this is the deepest form of love and intimacy one can dream of. It is a love born not from need, but from abundance. The love of two free, strong souls who have chosen to walk through life together. So, we have made this journey. From the disconcerting realization that the words I love you can be not a bridge, but a wall, to finding the key, the simple, yet all-encompassing phrase, I believe in your path. We have seen that behind it lies not just a different set of words, but a fundamentally different philosophy of relationships. A philosophy based on the wisdom of Carl Jung, on the understanding of the archetypal forces that drive us. This is a transition from a love of need to a love of giving, from a love of fusion to a love of alliance, from an attempt to make another a part of your world to a sacred respect for their own unique world. Remember, your greatest power as a woman is not in your ability to hold on, but in your ability to inspire. Not in control, but in faith. Not in becoming the whole world for him, but in giving him the strength to conquer his own. The phrase I believe in your path is not the end, but the beginning. The beginning of your own path to wholeness. The beginning of a relationship built on freedom, respect, and genuine, deep intimacy. When you say this to him, you are not just talking about him. You are also talking about yourself. About the fact that you are strong enough to believe, wise enough to let go, and whole enough to love without demanding anything in return. And it is this kind of love, as Jung would say, that is not just a feeling, but the greatest art and the crown of human individuation. Become that artist. Give him this gift. And you will see how not only he, but your entire universe will change.